Namo Om Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swanti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachaline Nivasisha Sunyavadi Pashtatari Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. All right, so we're reading about pain and pleasure in relationship to Krishna consciousness. All right, I'll just read one verse that we left off on last week to give you a little taste of what we was reading and what we're carrying on with. Speaking about the poisonous effects of love of Godhead. All right, sounds a bit contradictory. So we're speaking about Vipralambha bhav, which has contradictory emotions, which is not easily understood from the material point of view. So spiritual emotion. Okay, there's one verse we're quoting from Chaitanya Charitamrita. The poisonous effects of love of Godhead defeat the severe and fresh poison of a serpent. Yet there is simultaneously transcendental bliss, which pours down and defeats the pride of nectar and diminishes its value. All right, so there's a lot going on within the heart and spiritualized mind of the pure devotee, of the perfected devotees. All right. So already, so read about this a bit more. Vipralambha. Okay, so page 698, Mother Chandravani.
Yeah.
Okay, let us begin. In other words, pain and pleasure are simultaneous effects of love for Krishna in separation. Okay. Many other authorities confirm this, like Narada when he tells Gopakumar, quote, Prema in separation is full of both the greatest ecstasy and the worst anguish. Yeah. Was it well, Chaitanya asked Ramananda Roy, just paraphrasing, what's the most painful thing? Words of those effect. And Ramananda Roy expresses to be separated from a devotee, from devotee association. I think he answers in that regard. But it's divine pain. Yeah. So when the verse of Srimad Bhagavatam emphasizes separation as an intense agony, it should be understood that there is an unstated simultaneous bliss. And as we have mentioned, bhakti relieves one of all distress. Thus, if the pain and pleasure of separation are weighed against each other, the balance tips strongly on the side of pleasure. All right, well, that's good to hear. So answer to the question is, the pain of separation is both distressful and blissful. Okay. But there is more. Other authorities, sometimes the same authorities, also say that there is no pain. Right? No, there's no. They argue that the inner feelings is bliss, but its external expression caused by Krishna's absence are symptoms of great misery. Krishna being away from the devotee invokes reactions of separation, like crying, incoherent talks, and facial transformations. But they reason that these are very special symptoms of ecstasy that manifest when Krishna is absent. All right, so we're going to read about this in the Krishna book, the gopis' feelings of separation. It's described in quite some detail. Now there's a verse from Brihat Bhagavatamrita by Gopakumar, quoted next. There in Goloka, sorrow dances vigorously on the head of every kind of happiness, and anguish gives a joy more intense than any bliss. Right? Anguish gives a joy more intense than any bliss. In his commentary, Sanatana Goswami says, quote, in Goloka, the apparent misery of separation from Krishna is in fact the greatest happiness. And the anxiety felt by the Golokavasi is more ecstatic than any other pleasure. Elsewhere in the same book, now it says, quote, from the purely spiritual point of view, this so-called suffering is actually the most sublime ecstasy. Unquote. Thus, there are two possible answers to the question. So the pain of separation is actually suffering. That's the question. Concurrent with the sorrow of separation is the corresponding happiness, and the sorrow of separation is merely an external expression of an internal emotion of bliss. So I didn't read that again. Concurrent with sorrow of separation is a corresponding happiness, and the sorrow of separation is merely an external expression of an internal emotion of bliss. Okay, we choose not to resolve these two answers in this book. The topic of prema cannot be fully explained. It can only be understood only by being realized. However, readers can be reassured that there is bliss in the sorrow of separation. I guess one way we could look at it, that anything, any emotion, well, not any emotion actually, but generally the emotions that's in relationship to Krishna isn't anything but bliss, even if it seems to be anguish. Because one is focused on Krishna. As we know, that's the phenomena of Vipralambha bhava, is that one is actually meditating upon Krishna, perhaps even more deeply than in Krishna's presence. Yeah, so that is the, yeah, so that, could say that's the pleasurable aspect. Moreover, and most importantly, Krishna cannot tolerate seeing his devotees suffer. He cannot bear to see them calling after him and sobbing uncontrollably. Even if he knows that these are not symptoms of pain, but of ecstasy. This is because he is Bhagavan, which also means the most loving. Please feel free to offer any comments or any questions. It's a difficult subject to offer questions about. It's all quite inconceivable for us.
Yeah, I was comparing.
It's exciting to read about it. Sorry?
Sorry, I was thinking like the pain of separation, suffering in the material world. Would it be included with like being fearful as well? Whereas in Goloka Vrindavan is you have that bliss that Krishna will be there. Krishna will protect me.
You're speaking about, when you speak about the material world, you're speaking about the general material experience,
general material,
separate from Krishna?
trying to understand.
What about fear?
Yeah,
So,
I was thinking separation, fear. Say in material world, if we even want something, desire something, you don't get it, you like fearful, or you're going to get it later on. You're kind of fearful. There's fear.
apprehensive. I don't know if fear is the right word.
That's the word, apprehensive.
You're kind of apprehensive.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, but
whereas with Krishna, for the gopis and that, it's not, there's no, is that the word, apprehension? There's like, or is
well, Janmadiya Shayata, all the emotions that we see expressed here are here and they manifest because they have a pure form.
Yeah.
And that's, you can really, when you read Nectar of Devotion, especially beyond chapter 19, I think as we read together, the existential ecstasies and the sattvika bhavas, etc., according to the different devotees and their relationship with Krishna. Every emotion which you can identify here is there in its pure form. Yeah, so apprehension, but the apprehension, for instance, for the gopis, is if they're very apprehensive and fearful that by Krishna walking without any shoes, pebbles will hurt his feet.
Yeah.
So they're very apprehensive and they're very fearful about that. You know, they're very fearful of Radha and Krishna's meeting not happening because of Jyotila or someone else, or the group of Chandravali coming. Yeah, so also note if there's apprehension, there's fear, such not the fear that Vayam Dudida Vinivisata Syat. That's the when one turns away from Krishna, one lives in a fearful existence. So that's different. That's when we engrossed in the material energy and we don't care to bring up, we'd have no conception of Krishna. But in the spiritual world, that fear is being, a fear of being, well, fear's there as an emotion, but it's not the same as here. Yeah, there's no anger's there in the spiritual world. Lust has a different form, as we know. It's not as it is here. Here it's quite abominable. There it's described in the spiritual world, love is like gold. And here it's just like, was it? Still, there's a big difference. That is centered on oneself, lust here. But love for Krishna is centered on giving pleasure to the beloved. Anyway, that's quite a deep subject, which I'm scared to go into.
So fear is there, but in a different form.
Yeah, everything that we experience here is there, but here the separation and all the emotions that we experience, it is not a simultaneous ecstasy. It's just fully there is no simultaneous ecstasy. It's just fully fearful, full of anxiety, full of apprehension. Yeah.
Is it because we're connecting it to us? Whereas...
Yeah, that's it, basically.
Yeah.
Janmadiyasyayata. The whole universe revolves around us.
Yeah.
And we experience the emotions which evolve around us. At the spiritual world, everything's centered on Krishna.
Krishna. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And finally, there is an unspoken truth among Krishna and his devotees. The ecstasy that comes with separation, whether alone or accompanied by distress, is so extraordinary, so tasty, so superlative, that both Krishna and his devotees hanker to taste it. In other words, although they always strive to meet, in a secret recess of their hearts, the Lord and the devotees think, when we are separated, we will taste that special bliss. Okay? So the psychology of a pure soul, of the Ragatmaka devotees, is quite inconceivable to us. Okay. Practitioners, all right, that's us. Okay. Practitioners can be assured that Krishna is sympathetic to the agonies they face in their attempt to reach him. He will certainly come to quell the sadhaka's distress of separation, but in his time. All right. So his time means his time. Okay. Cannot demand or command Krishna. Krishna has reasons for tempering his devotees' eagerness to see him, just as a smith tempers a sword by repeatedly heating, beating, and calling it. All right, so we're going to get, Krishna's going to heat us, he's going to beat us, then he's going to call us. He's going to put the anvil. You've ever seen blacksmiths when they work on things, horseshoes? Bang, bang, they put it in the oven, get it out, it goes bang. So sometimes our spiritual life might be experiencing that may be the experience. Either we're getting heated, we're getting beaten, or we're feeling a little bit of cooling off. But whatever it is, Krishna's shaping us up for a very, very bright future in the spiritual world. So we have to be prepared to go through tempering. Yeah. All right, we continue. After giving his darshan, the Lord told Narad that the boy will not see him for the rest of his life. All right? So Krishna appeared, as we know, that wonderful description where he appeared to, and Narad was only young. So he was only a young boy. So the rest of his life means a long time. But his next life, he would always be, he had free reign to be with Krishna. Yeah. Similarly, when Krishna abandoned the gopis prior to the Ras dance, he watched their exhibitions of separation and then quickly returned. In both cases, he wanted to hone his devotees' love on the whetstone of separation. Not sure what it is. Anyone know what a wheatstone is? Whetstone. For Narad, that would take.
I think whetstone is something that you sharpen knives on.
All right, great, thank you.
I think
it's always good at this. Always do. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you know. We used to when we was young, we used to live on this council estate, and the guy would come round, the gypsy guy, on a bike, and he sharpened the knives. And he had this, he would pedal, and this whetstone would go around, and he would, yeah. Yeah, thank you, Mother Levangalatika. So yes, so the whetstone of separation from him. For Narad, that would take considerably longer than it would for the gopis. Yes, so Krishna disappeared for the gopis, not for a lifetime. Actually, he couldn't afford to, no. Otherwise, they'd die. Yeah, and that would be inauspicious. Well, because their love was so strong that Krishna couldn't stay away. He couldn't stay away for long because of the intensity of their prema. So Krishna was forced to again come into their midst. Yeah, there's beautiful verses in Bhagavatam. There's a beautiful chapter where it describes when Krishna first comes back, and then how, and then what the gopis say. It's really beautiful. It's really beautiful in their prayers to Krishna when he returns back in their midst. Okay. For Narada, that would take considerably longer than it would for the gopis. In either case, the result would be the same. And a similar result is shared by the sadhaka. Yeah, it's good to keep in mind when we're reading this. We read about Narada, we read about the gopis, we read about different associates of the Lord. But we, at some point in our spiritual life, we're going to meet Krishna. Hopefully, we're following bhakti yoga. We're following the path by which, if we follow it nicely and we follow it, then we will meet Krishna. So this is it's not just a storybook. Sometimes I may read these things. This is for Narodam. No, this is for those who are devotees of, if you're a devotee of Krishna, if you devoted your life to Krishna, at some point in your spiritual development, Krishna's going to not be able to keep himself away because of the strength of your love. He's going to, and even in the life of a sadhaka, Krishna's reciprocating in wonderful ways. Yeah. Any questions or comments? Please feel free. Yeah, that just came to mind. And a similar result is shared by the sadhaka. Krishna oversees his devotees' advancement and reciprocates to what he considers to be the best for awakening love. Yeah. Now, what he considers to be the best might not be what we envisioned for our life or what we had planned out. What we have planned out or envisioned for our life, Krishna might not see that as being favorable. So no matter how much you envision it or plan it, Krishna's got other plans. Yeah, that's why it said, if you want to, well, Krishna's always smiling. I don't know where this came from, but if you want to see Krishna's smile, tell him your plans. Krishna has other ideas because he loves us so much and he wants what's good for us spiritually. And he may fulfill our plans, but them plans will be fulfilled in such a way that they will lead to attachment to him. In that way, spiritual life is quite exciting. Yeah, it's quite exciting.
But I think whatever Krishna does for you, you might at that time think, oh, but why, what, when? But eventually you see in your life it was for good reason. Everything is for good reason.
Yeah,
and aspiring for something and it's not happening, there's a reason why Krishna is not letting that happen. It's for good, for your good in the end, you know. So
we have to. I just was listening to something today. There's a little story, and it was God Waits. Like it was a story about Leo Tolstoy, and title was God Waits. But the point is then we will reflect back, and the things that we went through will start to make sense. Will start to make sense. Oh yes, okay. So that's why I was started to go in this direction, to go in that direction. Yeah, it's difficult to really understand, but through retrospect we can only because retrospect means just reflecting on exactly how Krishna, what Krishna arranged for us.
Yeah.
And we can't retrospect, or we can't, what's the opposite retrospect? We can't really envision the future because that's in Krishna's hands. So I mean, it doesn't mean we don't plan anything in life. We don't. No, we have some time. We have to make a way in this world, and we have to. If you want to go to India, we have to book a flight. We have to. If we want to get money, we have to get a job, and we have to, make sure we got a social security number. We have to endeavor in this. So those things we do, but the overall picture of our life, Krishna has planned out in order to increase our hankering for him. So Krishna oversees his devotees' advancement and reciprocates according to what he considers the best for awakening love. Feelings of separation are obviously invoked by not seeing Krishna, but more so by not obtaining the immediate result of the effort a practitioner puts into his sadhana. When a serious devotee does not feel he is advancing at pace, or when he is hankering after the symptoms described in Shishastaka, it should be known that Krishna is withholding himself and withholding that special devotion to him. he wants to see how the devotee will respond. Krishna makes a sadhaka feel this kind of separation as a test. Okay?
Okay, so then Krishna, in that little few lines, I'm just thinking, so then Krishna knows past, present, future. He knows the future, what that sadhaka is going to go through or want. So then why does he withhold? If he knows the sadhaka is going to go, is a serious devotee and it's going to go the right way. I'm just thinking,
Well, because that's an ingredient for developing deeper love and deeper attachment. It's favorable for his purposes of increasing our attachment. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it suits his purposes. Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. That's why when the gopis were questioning Krishna when he left the rasa and he came back, they was questioning him. And then Krishna answers that. I think we mentioned it. We've come across it a few times in our readings. But the reason I do not immediately reciprocate with the devotion of my devotees is that I want to increase their love, and they become just like a poor man who's come across some wealth and then suddenly lost it. They cannot, they think again and again the experience they had when they momentarily were situated in wealth. Yeah.
Yeah, we did that. We read that or something somewhere.
Yeah, Mother Gayatri says, when you get it cheaply, you do not appreciate it as much. Yeah, that's a fact, isn't it? And when it comes, yeah, so same as Krishna. Krishna's not cheap. Actually, Krishna's very expensive. we have to give our whole self to Krishna. Yeah. And once you give your whole self, Krishna's going to find more that you should give. Yeah, so that was cheap. So yeah, good point, Mother Gayatri. Thank you. Yeah, I was going to say something then, I forgot that. Yeah, sometimes it might be that we might have to go without a taste for chanting for 1, 2, 3 years. Without a real taste. You know, we do it out of duty, but we're doing it and we get a certain, and we experience a certain happiness from the effort that we make. And at least we're not thinking of nonsense. So there's a certain level of kind of contentment, but there may be no ecstasy. There may be no emotions. Yeah. But we keep on chanting. We keep on chanting. And at some point, things may clear, the clouds clear. And then it may be where you're experiencing a taste every time you pick up your beads, you're tasting. Yeah, you're able to focus, you're able to experience bliss, you know. But that wouldn't have came, and you would appreciate it more than if it came, as Mother Gayatri said, just cheaply. Yeah. So spiritual life is quite exciting. Okay. The overarching reason for Krishna playing hard to get is that he wants to see how much his devotees values him. After all, loving devotion will purchase him. Who is the personification of, will purchase him who is the personification of all that exists. Krishna is not a dollar store trinket, as Prabhupada Gayatri says, not cheap. He's not you. You cannot buy Krishna in a pound shop. Okay. And when he gives himself, he does so unconditionally and totally. A practitioner should be willing to respond in kind. He should be willing to pay the price of such attainment, whatever the cost. And to see that he does, the following are some of the points on which Krishna assesses his devotee. Okay, so Maharaj is going to mention these points. But this is what Krishna is thinking now. Okay, how steady is a devotee in service, even without the reward of advancement? Wow. All right. Even without the reward of advancement. How steady is that devotee? As I said, there may not be any, you may not be going to different stages. Ruchi, Shakti, you just, but you're still steady, you're still continuing, you still continue following principles and serving Krishna, associating with devotees. Yeah. Does the devotee opt for liberation as an alternative to hard to earn bhava? Okay, let me go for moksha. Does he actually feel separation, or at least try to feel it? Okay, try to feel it. This is what Krishna wants. This is what we should be doing, trying to feel it. Is the devotee content to remain instead in goodness as a pious brahmana? You understand? You just give up the quest for Shakti, Bhava, Nishta, Ruchi. You just, okay, I'm just going to be religious. I'm just going to be pious. It's not that, you give that drive to obtain Bhava. Is the devotee distracted by material allurements like wealth and sense gratification, which are byproducts of bhakti? All right, so look out, these things will come, may come to a sadhaka, adoration, distinction, wealth, etc. Okay, then now Maharaj continues. If Krishna sees that the sadhaka is neither distracted nor discouraged from his goal, he will gain faith that his devotee values him. Then gradually, in different ways, kind-hearted Krishna, who is purchased by honest, steadfast devotion, will reveal himself. In the interim, as the determined devotee gains increasing attachment to the Lord, he also gains a corresponding insight to the mercy that separation bestows upon him, and is grateful. Some people may complain that in consideration of the difficulties posed by this age of Kali, Krishna is too demanding. Yeah, good point. It's too much, Krishna. Indeed, they may even say that taking pleasure in the devotee's pain of separation is cruel. Right? So, what's the answer to that? Not so. Krishna does not take pleasure in the suffering of devotees, but he does take pleasure in the underlying devotion that generates their struggles. Okay, he takes pleasure in the underlying devotion that generates their struggles. By speaking to the gopis, Krishna addresses the world of Vaishnavas. He assures devotees from beginner sadhaka to advanced siddha that he knows their sacrifice and surrender. Moreover, he reminds us that he's responding to our devotion in his time, in his time, not ours, is for our spiritual benefit. That's the point we mentioned earlier, okay? In Krishna's time. Not for his entertainment. All right. Krishna's not enjoying it. He's not inflicted that separation to like enjoy it. He's doing it for his spiritual benefit. Knowing these things, we should not fault him. These are the Lord's words to the Rajrasis. Then there's a quote here, obviously from 10th canto. My dear girls, understanding that simply for my sake you had rejected the authority of worldly opinion of the Vedas and of your relatives, I acted as I did only to increase your attachment to me. Even when I removed myself from your sight by suddenly disappearing, I never stopped loving you. Therefore, my beloved gopis, Please do not harbor any bad feelings towards me, your beloved. So yeah, this is when Krishna returns in their midst after he exits from the rasa dance. In a way that Krishna appeared, so unquote, in a way that Krishna appeared to the gopis, he will also appear before every sincere devotee. Even though he knows that his devotees' feelings of separation are actually feelings of bliss, he cannot long stand to see the symptoms of his suffering. Therefore, the sooner that a sadhaka can spontaneously shed tears, roll on the ground, and call out in anguish, or to see the Lord, the sooner Krishna will appear. All right? So there you go. Shed tears, rolling on the ground, and calling out in anguish. And when Krishna does appear, then the sadhaka and the siddha forget all their sufferings and simply bask in the most sublime happiness. To behold Krishna with the eyes is the ultimate purpose of bhakti and its fullest reward, a reward that uproots every illusion and impurity within the heart. With all obstacles removed, the devotee's love can grow from strength to strength, blossoming in the special ecstasies that only Krishna's company can bring. And it stops there at 4 asterisks. So any comments from other devotees here? Not many. Mother Jambavati, Mother Gopagita, Mother Gayatri, Mother Lavanga. Let's hear some comment to make sure you're all still there. Any little...
Yeah.
Okay. Go on, Mother Lavanga.
No, I'm still here, but I don't really have anything to say because the feelings of separation are completely beyond my experience. So I'm in the thing, like I'm desiring to feel separation. That's where I am. So, yeah.
Yeah, we can start somewhere. We've got to start somewhere, feeling separation for feelings of separation. Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't. I don't feel separation. I'm sure I'm not feeling separation. I feel like because my meditation is, Krishna is everywhere. He's in, like, whatever I'm doing, Krishna is there. So I know I'm dovetailing material energy in Krishna's service. Somehow I'm utilizing my situation to connect with Krishna somehow. But I'm not feeling that separation while I'm doing that. I'm feeling that I'm connecting with Krishna somehow, but obviously it's like it's on a lower level than feeling separation.
Yeah, I think that's a common sentiment, isn't it? Perhaps others might also experience that. But the point actually, to say this is that what we're, there's a lot more for us to realize and to experience than what we presently are. So in other words, we may feel a bit of relief from the 3 modes of material nature by meditation on Krishna. But as our readings kind of show, is that we should be aware of further stages. Yeah, we shouldn't be just satisfied, one sense, with our present situation. I'm not speaking about you directly, Mother Lavanga, because I think your comment you made, I think it's a common feeling amongst us, devotees in general.
That is, well, that does apply to me, because sometimes I do feel some sense of happiness in just connecting with Krishna in day-to-day life, or reading. Reading Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, I do feel like that's a higher connection, but generally, I mean, yeah, I'm not feeling separation. You know, when I see what's going on outside, like I go out to the shops and I see everybody suffering so much, then I feel like this is just a terrible place. And that makes me feel not separation, but it makes me feel like I want to get out of here. But
And that's good. Yeah, I want Krishna.
yeah,
I want Krishna. Yeah, you want Krishna.
yeah.
There's something I was going to say, but I just forgot. Yeah.
But I'm not feeling, I imagine that to feel separation, you have some sense of your position in the spiritual world. I mean, would that be right? Because how can you feel separation from something that you have not experienced?
Yeah, well, ultimately, that will be the source of one's feeling of Vipralambha bhav, some manifestation of manifesting within the heart of the devotee. Maybe Spruti manifest as he did to Narada, as he did to Narada Muni. But that's why it's important for us to read about the devotees' experiences of separation. And I think, as we mentioned before, as reading the prayers of Narottam Das Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Rupa Goswami, where they express really, really deep feelings of separation from Krishna. And by associating with them, we can also learn to feel in the same way, not exactly, but according to a level. That's why I think we mentioned before, I think Marge has mentioned, that's part of we're supposed to develop these feelings of Vipralambha bhav.
Yeah. Actually, sorry, go ahead.
And one of the ways that we can do that is by hearing from those who are feeling this intense separation from Krishna. Then it kind of rubs off on us. You know?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I read the prayers of the Goswamis, and I've also done these video things as well. Kapanya Panjaka is one I just did, and you do get a sense of their mood. You do get a sense of their hankering, and you kind of share their emotion, not completely, because we're not at that level of purity, but it does rub off on us. So that's part of sadhana bhakti, is to develop this feeling, and part of that is to read about the devotees of feelings of separation. Yeah, like just today. I mean, it's not so good, but you know that thing I did, that a meditation on Vipralambha, that little video with the music.
I didn't see it.
Okay, perhaps you can share it, Movchan.
Yeah, I put it on our group.
Oh, okay.
I'll send it again. I've got it.
Yeah,
okay.
but I just listened to that today, and it's my own voice, but not that I'm listening to me, but I watched it, and I was reminded again these feelings, because it has a slide of the gopis stopping Krishna, then it has a slide of Krishna meeting the gopis at Kurukshetra, then it has a slide, I think, of Uddhava when Krishna's about to leave, then it has a slide of Lord Chaitanya, who's feeling separation. Then the final slide is of Krishna, coming to rescue his devotee after being in the material world. So,
Yeah.
so he brought out those. Go on,
sorry. I was just going to say, like, when I'm chanting, I feel some separation, not in a very defined way, but general feeling of more separation, I feel. Because I'm definitely cultivating this crying out for Krishna in my chanting, and it does work when you have that feeling that you're calling out to Krishna. And I do feel more separation. I mean, it's not very defined feeling, but I do feel separation more when I chant.
Yeah, that's see. Perhaps perhaps give yourself some more credit. I mean, there's something.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit.
Because the mantra itself. Oh, I'm repeating. The mantra is one of calling. So the mantra itself is a mantra of Vipralambha path, because you're praying to Krishna to be engaged. I am not. Please engage me. Yeah. But let's perhaps hear from any other devotees on thoughts of this discussion and separation. Mother Gayatri, are you in a position to? Are you on a bus or train or plane or in the park? At work?
Sorry, Prabhu, I'm working. I'm thinking. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Mother Jambavati, you're sewing, you're knitting. You can hear us? She's feeling separation. Mother Gopi Gita.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, no, I'm at work. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm
Okay,
working.
no problem. Gopi Gita, you feeling separation from the Lord?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course. See, very naturally. Yeah. When you chant in this mood?
When I chant, I just remember all the leelas of Krishna. I don't know is right or wrong, but I was
Oh, that's
thinking
right.
always thinking about Kalya, Krishna, and all the leelas.
Nice, and that's your kind of regular. That's a regular thing that you do. That's your bhajan.
I remember Krishna's feet, like Radhalandanish was always in my mind.
Yeah,
Every
nice.
time when I do, I think about Radhalandanish was Charan. Oh, I love that so much.
Think about missed that again.
Come on, Chandravali, please.
Lotus feet.
Lotus feet.
She always remembers Radhalandani with lotus feet.
Yeah.
You know.
And the symbols on Krishna's lotus feet, you can remember. You can memorize that.
Okay.
The symbols, lotus, and I did that a few years ago. I have to brush up on it, but memorize the chakra. There's a chakra. There's a lotus. There's an elephant goad. There's a hexagon. There's jumbo fruits. There's an unstrung bow. There's a picture of the earth. That's another further meditation, if you like.
Thank you.
Read them and learn them. But what I want to highlight here is the reason you're doing that is because you feel separation from Krishna. So you're calling memory of him into your chanting.
Okay, thank you.
Because you're feeling separation from him. Yeah. Yeah, that's the path. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. All right. Any other comments on that? We'll read a little bit more. Time check. Wow, time's disappeared again. God. 10:02. Okay, I guess I'll read on. Yeah, it's good to discuss this, and you can appreciate, even from our stage, we are feeling separation from Krishna.
It's good when others speak as well, because it makes you understand more different angles of feeling separation, different angles of thinking.
Yeah, it's a nice discussion to have with devotees. Just sit down and discuss how are you going with feelings of separation from Krishna.
Yeah.
A nice istagosti, type question. Yeah. Okay. So read a bit more. Okay. We should briefly emphasize the connection between cultivating emotion and hearing. The correlation between the two is straightforward. The subjects a devotee hears makes an impression upon his consciousness. Okay, I'll just mention, all right, that point. The subject he hears has an impression upon the consciousness. Thus, the emotional experience and emotional influence of the subjects are impressed into the consciousness of the hearer, and the two become one. Everyone has experienced, okay, exactly what I was just saying. Interestingly, Marge is going to explain it now, that point of hearing from those who are in the mood of separation. Yeah, it will affect us. Everyone has experience of even mundane things like movies, books, and songs being the source of emotional and psychological involvement. We identify with what we hear. A love narrative induces a feeling of romance, a horror story of fear. An action drama pumps adrenaline. This is akin to mantras or incantations that are able to invoke weapons, subtle beings, or even events. The reason is that words or combination of words are endowed with certain powers. This holds true for both the mundane and the spiritual sound vibration, the two clearly differing in their potency and the result that they invoke. All right, so it can be done materially, it can be done spiritually. Okay? The process by which any kind of sound vibration induces a corresponding feeling, and which is called tat bhava, is explained in the following words of Sri Prahlad. So, yeah, it means you assimilate the same feelings, tat bhava. A verse we have amply quoted in this book, quote, the devotee is then freed from all material contamination, because he constantly thinks of the Lord's pastimes, and because his mind and body have been converted to spiritual qualities. Because of his intense devotional service, his ignorance, material consciousness, and all kinds of material desires are completely burnt to ashes. This is the stage at which one can achieve shelter at the Lord's lotus feet. Okay. Unquote. The significant words in this verse are tat bhava, bhavano, kritya kriti, which can be translated to mean, by hearing or thinking, bhava, one's mind and body, ashraya akriti, assume the same qualities of what has been heard or thought of, anukritya. This is called tat bhava. Okay. So, Baba Chandravalli, what is tat bhava?
I was just reading again.
It's sharing, picking up. You could say, simply put, sharing the emotions of that which you associate with. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave an example of how this visual and auditory contact with an object creates an impression within the mind and body. He says that when a man sees a woman or even hears her name, the image of a woman brings about certain transformations within that man's body and mind. Most men have experience of their metamorphoses that simply a name can conjure within one's being. When a lusty man hears the name of a beautiful woman and dwells on her, he envisions the lady in his mind, begins to think of a romantic encounter, and when fully absorbed in lusty thoughts, his body quickly becomes essentially agitated. This is just by thinking, not by even contacting. Okay? He may be so absorbed in thought of this woman that the resulting impressions will color his consciousness during waking hours and cause a sensual dream in his sleep. And this is all from a mundane name. This tat bhava, the transformative potency of conveying images and impressions through the agency of sound, thereby inducing both psychological and physiological changes in the hearer. Now, if mundane sounds and ideas have such power, what then of the spiritual sound vibration or shabda? There's also, just thinking now, there's a beautiful prayer I've also done of Rupa Goswami. It's also called Udvalli Kalari. Udvalli Kalari. And it's Rupa Goswami crying out to Radha Krishna. It's so moving. Yeah, Udvalli Kalika. You can read it or you can listen to it in one of the videos I've done, but it's so emotional, it's so deep. Just by hearing of his heart yearning for the king and queen, he's begging. Yeah, he's playing the role of a sadhaka, and he from his point of view, he is a sadhaka, and he's aspiring for Radha Krishna. But it's so it's so beautiful to read it, the love and the feelings of separation he's feeling, and the way he expresses it. He's begging. Yeah. There's another one called, one of my favorites is the Govinda V. Rutadvali as well, again by Rupa Goswami. Then I've done a video of that as well, but again, he's just praying to, oh my Lord, oh my Lord, oh my Lord. It goes about an hour, just short. He's crying out for the Lord. Oh, you, my Lord, you gave pleasure to the gopis, you who, please deliver me. It's really,
You've
really
done
kind
some
of,
videos.
sorry?
You've done some videos on separation.
Yeah, I've done one, but I've also done, I've also recorded these prayers.
Okay.
Some of the prayers of the Goswamis, and put it to music with pictures and things like that. So if you want, you can visit that if you want, or you can, if you're so inspired, or you can take note of the title of the books and you can find it quite easily. Oh, there's that bell. The Mayapur TOV bell. TOV bell is ringing now for 6 o'clock. Ding, you can hear it. Where do we read up to? Yeah. Now, if mundane sounds and ideas have such power, what then of the spiritual sound vibration? Shabda. Okay, so now we'll pick up from there next week, okay? So we'll have to feel separation from reading Sankalpa Kaumudi until, especially if you don't have a copy, you can, oh, I can't even read. I have to wait till next week. Okay, so thank you, devotees, for joining us. Only 3, and 4, no, not bad, 6 of us here today. 3, 4, 5, 6. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
You
All the
can send
Prabhupada,
us-
Shri Prabhupada ki
Hare
jai.
Krishna.
Hare
you
Krishna,
can
Hare
send them
Krishna.
to
Jai. Thank you.
I can send them to everyone.